Welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. The 3 keys to your success is just moments away. Here's your host, Brian Kelly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mind Body Business Show. This is going to be a phenomenal show because of our guest expert, John English, who is coming on in just a moment. I was just talking to him just before we went live. This is an amazing gentleman, and I cannot wait to pick his brain for you so that you can learn what it takes to achieve a high level of success, not only to do that, but to maintain it and improve upon it month after month, year after year. And this gentleman is the key to your success. So I can't wait to introduce him to you in just a moment. Before we do that, the Mind Body Business Show, what is that all about? If you're not familiar, real quickly, it's all about the 3 pillars of success. And what I found by studying only successful people over the past decade or so is that patterns developed, that I noticed, that patterns started showing themselves as I'm studying individuals that have achieved success. I'm talking personal mentors and coaches. I'm talking about friends that are wildly successful financially, those that are successful in life, and also talking about authors and people that I meet at network seminars, speakers from stage. And those 3 pillars of success, those 3 patterns that kept coming up, as you can imagine, are the name of the show. Mind being mindset. They each had a very powerful, flexible mindset. Body, they each, to a person, took care of themselves. They watched what they ate and drank, and they exercised on a regular basis. And then business, that's the one where everyone wants to go directly to, but really the foundation is built with mind and body. And I like to say the mind and body are a team. And even more importantly, the mind and body are your team. And if either member or any member of a team is not operating at a peak level of performance, well, then the team as a whole is suffering, isn't it? And so get that foundation set first. That's what these successful people had done. And then master all the skill sets necessary for business. And business is multifaceted. There are so many wonderful aspects to business. There's sales, marketing, team building, leadership, scaling, systematizing. The list goes on and on. And the real cool thing I noticed is that successful people are also masters at delegating, because to master every skill set that's necessary to succeed in business could take one person a full lifetime, if not more, to do that. And so it's very vital that you have incredible leadership skills. And that is why I am so excited about tonight and Mr. John English. This is where this man excels. I'm sure there are many other areas. We're going to dive deep into that tonight. And speaking of successful people, another trait that I found going through all of these wonderful, amazing, successful people and studying them was, to a person, they were very voracious readers of books that really would give them an impact, would have an impact on them, both in business and in personal life. And so with that, real brief, I would like to segue into a segment I affectionately call Bookmarks.
Bookmarks. Born to read. Bookmarks. Ready, steady, read. Bookmarks. Brought to you by reachyourpeaklibrary.com.
Yes, bookmarks. Reachyourpeaklibrary.com. And real quickly, before we continue, everyone watching and any of you that are listening after the fact on, say, a podcast, is do yourself a favor and take out a good old-fashioned piece of paper and that other thing that you may have forgotten what it looks like. It's a writing instrument, a pen or a pencil, and take notes. And the reason I say to do it that way is because that will help keep you from the temptation of actually running to another web browser tab and opening up the resources that both John and I will be giving you throughout this evening. And so here's the thing. I've spoken from stage for several years, and one of the things we like to let people know in the audience is that the magic, it happens in the room. And by that, what we mean is stay in the room, stay focused, stay attentive, stay concentrated on the topic at hand, because I would hate for you to miss that one golden nugget that John has for you tonight. And if you're sidetracked and if you're off doing something else and you're multitasking, the odds of you not getting that vital information at a deep level are great. And so I want you to get the most out of this. It's just a recommendation. I personally write notes during the show. I'm hosting the show. I'm not asking you to do anything that I don't do. And so just a recommendation going forward. Right back to reachyourpeaklibrary.com. Write that down on a piece of paper. We can start right now by practicing that. And what this is a website I personally developed with, no kidding, you in mind. You, the business owner, the entrepreneur, the person looking to achieve greater success than they have today, no matter what level you are at right now. And what I did was I began reading voraciously, and admittedly only about 15 years ago, not long ago, I finally started reading voraciously. And what I did was I started compiling a list of all the books that I was reading or had read that actually had a positive and profound impact on me, my business, or my personal life, or even both. So every book in here is something I personally have read and felt that it met the grade, so to speak, to list on this elite list of incredible reads. And so it's here for you. If you find a book in here and you go to this website after the show is over, you find a book that you haven't read yet, just click on the buy here. That goes straight to Amazon, by the way. This is not a money-making website by any means. It is here for you as a collective set of books that cover mind, body, and business throughout. And so that is really, in a sense, my gift to you for coming on and watching this show. And now you're aware of this amazing resource. And I highly recommend you go grab it and go there after the show and grab the first book that pops out at you that you see that you like, and just go for it. And then go get another one after you're done with that one. All right, enough of my blabbing. Let's bring on the person that you came to see. You didn't come to watch me. You came to watch Mr. John English. And I know that for a fact because this guy is an absolutely amazing, amazing young man. So let's bring him on right now, shall we? Yeah, let's do it.
It's time for the Guest Expert Spotlight. Savvy, skillful, professional, adept, trained, big league, qualified.
And there he is, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is the one, the only John English. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Hey, Brian, I'm really happy to be with you. Thanks for having me on the show, and just a pleasure to be with all of your listeners too. And love those words that you use to describe your guest, but as you introduced me.
Yes, you included. Fantastic.
Savvy.
Yeah, it absolutely inclusive of you yourself for sure. And for those watching, we have entrepreneurs from all over the world that come onto this show. And tonight, my buddy John is just down south of where I am, and he's in Long Beach, California. That's my old stomping grounds, alma mater. Went to college there. Love Long Beach, and I see the sun shining through his window, and I just look at it and go, I miss that place. It's a wonderful place. So real quick, before we dive in and really formally introduce this amazing gentleman to my left, I wanted to let you know that for those of you that stay on live to the end of the show, you will then be given away to win a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star resort. Now, I get it. I know what the times are saying right now. But guess what? What's the first thing you're going to want to do once all of this lifts? Is get out of Dodge, right? And you can use this prize when you are ready. And so stay on to the end. Be that person that has a vacation stay in their hand, ready to go, and have a great, great time. And by the way, it is a legitimate vacation stay. You are not going to be whisked away into a side room and have a pitch given to you about a timeshare or anything like that. It is 100% a vacation stay for you. You're treated no different than a real guest. And the reason I know that is because the amazing people at powertexting.com, you see them up in the upper right corner of your screen, sponsored this, and they have gone on this very trip, not once, but 3 times themselves, and reported back how wonderful it was. So stick on to the end. Now, let's bring him on officially. John is an award-winning author, coach, and successful entrepreneur who has founded 4 different businesses, one in manufacturing, one in engineering, one in publishing and education, and another in coaching and development. Now, talk about diverse. That is amazing. He teaches leadership and employs a mindfulness practice to eliminate stress. Don't we all need that? He also teaches work relationship and communication strategies. His unique approach creates teams and work environments where people thrive and are engaged because they use the power of the human spirit to honor and respect one another at work. The results from his unique approach have produced big results for leaders and the workforce. With that, now officially and formally, I want to introduce you all to John English. Yes, the man, the myth. And John, that's very impressive to me. Four businesses in quite different arenas. That is impressive in its own right. So that tells me you have a depth and breadth more than most people as far as experience in different kinds of working environments, business cultures, and the list goes on. And the dynamics, I know you know this all too well, of the employee base with each is always different and always varying and interesting. And I can't wait to dig in deeper about exactly what you do. And before we do that, though, what I like to do, is, speaking of digging deeper, is you're a successful businessman. You're a successful entrepreneur. The purpose of this show is to help others to learn how to become successful like John English. And to do that, as I mentioned in the opening of the show, the mind and body are the foundation. Really, it starts with the mind more than the body. And so I like to get into that big, beautiful brain of yours, John, and find out what makes you tick so that others can model.
Hopefully that won't be a scary thing, Brian.
I highly doubt that. It's going to be a glorious, beautiful trip through John English's brain. No, we're not going to go that deep. We're just going to, I'm just going to ask you certain questions. Like, for instance, when you get up in the morning, I don't know if you're like me, but when I get up, I'm a little groggy. It takes me, 5 to 10 minutes to really come all the way to my senses. Some others get up and bolt and they're ready. But when you get to that moment where you're awake and ready, then that drive that we all know about kicks in, that excitement for the day ahead. What is it for you personally, John, that motivates you? Because let's face it, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not for everyone. What motivates you to tackle the nonstop barrage of issues that keep coming our way every single day and keep going forward? What is it for you?
Well, my passion is to help other people and to help them succeed at whatever it is that they want to do. And I was fortunate enough to be mentored by other people who were really powerful and I'd say grounded and centered. And they taught me how to live differently than most people. So, for example, living without stress and anxiety, the stress that most people have come to accept as a way of life. So I love to get to share that with other people. So that's what really motivates me. It's all about people. The team is all about the players. So, I just really love to work with people. So that's what really motivates me.
That is so interesting you bring that up, because just earlier today, I was actually a guest on another podcast. I was on the other side of the fence, and that very topic came up, and it really everything was always focused about the people. And that's what I have found in doing this show, in conducting these interviews, is every single person I've interviewed, their focus and their drive and their motivation is really when the rubber hits the road, it's helping people.
Yeah.
Rarely do I hear him say, well, it's about making money and money, so I can get that yacht and that car and that house and impress people. I never hear that ever on this show, ever.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. I love that. And that's what I love about you. And I'm so blessed that I have such high quality entrepreneurs coming on the show like you, John. So I appreciate your time, because everyone's time is so, so valuable. Even today, when we're kind of on a lockdown, it's still very valuable. And I truly respect it. The thing with mind body business, the second term there was body. And as we were talking before the show, obviously you're a very active individual. And I just wanted to ask for you, how important is that though? I mean, yeah, it's fun and it's nice to get out and do things that are physical in nature, but from a business and a personal standpoint, exactly how important is that to you, and how does it impact your life?
Well, it's a pillar of peak performance, keeping your body in good shape and taking care of your body. I grew up as an athlete, and so I've always been into physical fitness and exercise and things like that. And there are times in my life where I wasn't as into it as I as I had been in the past. And I'll tell you that my performance did suffer as a result. So I actually begin my day. One of the ways I begin my day is I get up in the morning and I love coffee. So I brew my coffee, and then I have a stretching routine that I use first thing in the morning. And I developed that stretching routine as a result of, I got to live in a mountain town for a while. And so I skied over 50 times a year. So I developed that stretching routine while I was living there, and I would stretch out in the morning so that I'd be ready to go skiing after I worked for a couple of hours. So I've just kind of kept that up. So I actually begin my day with something that is about taking care of my body.
That is phenomenal, and I'm so glad you bring all that up, because it's so important for people to understand and recognize that it truly is that important for your life. And it's not just about business and making money. It's about how are you showing up with your loved ones. And when you're working out or exercising on a regular basis, you want to talk about relieving stress. Probably the best stress reliever on the planet is some form of exercise. And it's instant, and there's no horrible side effects, other than if you hit it a little too hard, you might get sore. But if you're if you exercise on a normal basis, that goes away and doesn't come back unless you take a break again and get back at it. But you know what? It's far worth the benefits to be sore for a little bit. I couldn't agree more. And yeah, did you say 50 times you skied?
Yeah, I skied. One year I skied over 50 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And
we had a really good winter, and I was in a mountain town. So big bear.
We're talking like traditional skiing, right? Not snowboarding.
Yeah. Downhill skiing.
And this guy, you were telling me before the show, you're a black diamond skier. So this is one of those fearless, daredevil kind of guys that drops off a vertical cliff that also has these monster mountains in it called moguls. And it's not easy. I've been up to Cornice one time. We're talking about a local ski resort here in California at Mammoth. And boy, did it, I almost needed diapers to get all the way down. I'm telling you, it was really, it was frightening. So you don't
want to spend a lot of time looking over the top. You just want to center yourself and go.
Yeah. Then I went almost completely horizontal to the hill, because then I was afraid. Now I got to turn. Oh my God, what happens if I catch a ski? I'm done. I'm going all the way down. It's quite an experience, and I would recommend not starting at Black Diamond, but anyone who hasn't skied before, snow skied. That's a great way to take you out of your comfort zone in multiple ways, and you can help yourself. Bring somebody who knows what they're doing, like a John English or something, that can give you some advice on each of the individual elements as you go through it. Takes some practice in the beginning, and there's a lot of failure involved. It's almost like a business metaphor, isn't it, John?
It really is, and it's very challenging. I love to challenge myself. That's one of the reasons that I've had 4 different businesses, is because I thrive on challenge. So I really, some of the businesses I was in just got eliminated due to circumstances that changed in our world. And I really enjoy thriving on challenge, which is one of the things that I really love about being a coach, because people are coming to me with their challenges all the time. So I get to help them work through their different challenges. And it's a way to kind of continue that, to thrive that way.
Fantastic. And you have some super fans out there. Brenda Miller from Detroit. Hello from Mellow, Detroit. This is on LinkedIn. Yeah. And then Pearl Sullivan. Hello from Fond, New York. FOND. All on LinkedIn. Fantastic. Thanks for joining the show. Love it when you guys interact. All of you watching live, interact, give comments, ask questions. John will have an answer for any question you have, no matter if it's business or personal. Let's just be courteous and have some respect as we do it. But yeah, definitely interact with us. We love interaction. Totally love that. So I kind of mentioned it a little bit, hinted at it, that entrepreneurship is not that easy. And for those who are looking to get into it or have first started, you're going to quickly see that it's not a joy. It's not something that you just glide through. Let me put it that way, because I was going to say it's not a joyride, but for me it is. And I know it is for you too, John. That's what I love about it. And you're the same way. It's like the challenges, the changes, the constant ebb and flow that it just feels like it keeps me alive, and just it's the next challenge to overcome. And it doesn't ever seem daunting. It's just, okay, bring it on. Let's see what we can do with this one, And so when it comes to being a successful entrepreneur, I can tell one of the strengths you have is you've developed the mindset that you need with always putting yourself out there and getting out of that comfort zone. That's so key. We could spend a good 30 minutes on that one topic alone. I don't want to here. If you were to pick 3 skills, just 3, the top skills, and just use your present day as a reference, what are the top 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur such as yourself that others could then model and aspire to be like you?
I would have to say flexibility, a commitment to growth, because the entrepreneur you are today is not the entrepreneur that you need to be even 5 days from now, let alone 5 months or 5 years from now. So a commitment to personal growth. And then if I had to pick 3, I would say the third one would be leadership. So much about being an entrepreneur and being in business is about leadership. Yeah. So those are the 3 skills that I'd have to say that would be the top 3 for me.
All right. You open the door. I'm going to step through. This is going to be phenomenal. I can't wait. So let's find out about leadership at a deeper level, because you might know a thing or two about that. I'm just, kind of guessing. No, I want to learn at a deeper level what it is you do, what your business is, your current business model is. Like who's your avatar? Who's your customer, your perfect customer? Who do you cater to? And then what do you do for them?
Okay. Yeah. Well, thanks. My ideal client or customer, so to speak, would be an entrepreneur or an executive who really cares deeply for the people that work for them, and cares deeply for the organization and for what it is that they're doing in this world. And what I do is I get in and I coach the leadership and then also key employees. And I provide on-site training, employee development in the area of leadership, communication, really in the area of mindfulness, how to be mindful at work, and how to have an incredible, awesome company culture. Because I'm sure you have, Brian, and all the listeners out there have worked at organizations, at companies where they really didn't like being there, where they didn't feel like they were thriving, where they didn't jump out of bed to go to work in the morning. And so what I would really like every working person to have is that type of job, and culture is really important with that. So that's typically my ideal client that I like to work with, and really get in and dig in and be hands-on at every level in the organization. That's what I love to do.
There we go. I should unmute my microphone before I talk, huh?
I thought I lost you for a second.
That is fantastic. And one of the words that caught my ear was the word culture, that I noticed just in most of my conversation with other entrepreneurs rarely comes up. And I don't know why that is. But the interesting thing is it's probably one of, if not the most important thing to really impart upon your team than all the rest. It's kind of like mindset being the foundation of being a successful person, entrepreneur, and personal relationship. Culture to me is kind of like having a successful team. It's that important. What do you think about that? Does that resonate?
As we discussed before we got on the program, I have a saying that culture happens. So culture happens in a workplace whether you intentionally create it or not. So what I love to do is get everybody involved, all of leadership, obviously, and then also key employees within an organization, and let's intentionally, mindfully, consciously create the culture. What is the type of workplace that you want to work at? and get everybody involved, and then actually consciously create that culture. It's especially, it's important at every level. It especially gets important as companies grow. They get over 10, 15, 20 employees. It's really important to consciously define the culture. This is how we're going to treat one another. This is how we're going to communicate. This is what we do in this situation. This is how we act in that situation. This is how we create the type of workplace that everybody wants to work at. So, yeah, as you can tell, I get pretty excited about it.
And that's beautiful. I love the passion part of it. And that's something just in this last podcast I was on earlier today. It's like, were you listening to that? Because you're hitting all the same things. It's awesome. The importance of being passionate and loving what you do, like John and like myself, is so important. You'll hear two sides of that story. Having experienced it on both sides and trying to make a go of something I wasn't as passionate about, that was an uphill climb. And then I found my passion, and now it's taking off like I've never seen before. Just from personal experience, I can tell you from my own personal experience that passion is very important. And I'm sure John would say the same thing. And you can see the passion in him. He was getting excited there, getting up in his chair. And the other thing I wanted to bring up is for people who are listening, you cater to corporations and teams. How about small business owners? Do you also help them out as well? Is that part of your?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. I have clients that go from being a solopreneur up to corporate. So pretty
Fantastic.
much the whole, yeah.
And it's an important question right now. It's also a good question even after we are let out of our quote unquote cages. And that is, your business model, if I recall, is remote, meaning virtual. You can do this from anywhere in the world, and you do not have to meet physically with the people you work with. Is that true?
That is true. Almost all of my work is done over the internet or over the phone, unless it's on-site training.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I'm asking these questions on purpose because I want the listeners to understand that this is a successful model and it works. And all you have to do, again, I'll say it again, is model success. And that's just a fancy word for what? Copy. And, growing up as kids, at least, I don't know, maybe John and I are from a similar generation where that was really frowned upon, was copying in school.
Yeah.
But then it's really called cheating. And then when you grow as an adult, and then there's any semblance of that word, model, copy, we still tend to resist it because deep in our brain, we're saying that's not a good thing to do. Here's the thing. When you're a kid going through school, it's not a good thing to do in most cases. When you're an adult and you're going through business, it's the thing to do. You must do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
It's the opposite. It's your lifeblood.
So much. Yeah, I'm sorry. There's so much stuff for you to figure out as an entrepreneur, as a leader in a business, that take the help that is given to you, model what has been successful, and make it your own. Yeah.
Yeah, and right down that path is get help. And that's the other part, right, John, is to get rid of your ego as fast as you possibly can. And for some, including yours truly, that can be a difficult thing to overcome. I have, and sometimes it'll show rear its ugly head, so to speak, on occasion. The key is just being aware of when it happens and then adjust accordingly when you do notice that. And one great way to get out of your own way is to get help, seek help, and then allow that help to happen. Let that person take you down a path you never thought possible, or you never, you don't think is right. Even if you find the right coach or mentor, does it matter what you think the right path is? In fact, you're finding a coach or mentor because you have not found the right path. Yeah. So take that advice and run with it and just see how far it goes. I have found so much more help from people, not only coaches and mentors, but on my team, John, where we go around and get suggestions. And I have implemented, I was telling you before the show started about one such suggestion from an apprentice that has helped my company to easily display and convey our company's culture without any additional effort on my part. And that was all because I was willing to listen. I'm not patting myself on the back here. I'm telling everyone to do what you can to let go of your ego, because did you say a statement about ego earlier? Was it you? That
Yeah, I believe we discussed it a little bit. But what comes to mind now is that there's the top of the hill, and the top of the hill is the success that you want, whatever that is. You determine that, and it's important that everybody does determine that for themselves. Well, if you want to make it to the top of that hill, the first thing you need to do is slay the ego, because you won't make it if you don't.
Yeah, and I'd venture to say you might not make it halfway up.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you have a big ego, you'll probably look really good getting that far. Oh, couldn't resist that one. Yeah, I'm deeply intrigued about your business and everything you do. What would you, okay, I wanted to ask this. There was another keyword that you mentioned that I'm curious about, and that was the C word, communication. What has been your personal experience working with companies? Has communication, like actual one-on-one communication, has it increased? Has it not fluctuated? Has it decreased? Actually literally talking to another human being. And is it even important?
It's huge. It's very important. And what I find very fascinating is that many articles on leadership talk about how important communication is, it's in employee development programs. And at the same time, it's such an issue for so many organizations. So what I've done is I've actually systemized communication. If we're going to go from point A to point B, and we have a plan, we're implementing a plan to get there, how do we communicate with one another to get from point A to point B? So what has to take place in an actual conversation? So I also work with mindful communication, which is how to stay centered and present in the moment so that you actually absorb what it is that someone else is speaking, what it is that they're communicating to you. So, communication is really huge. And I think, our online world is amazing. It has brought so much into our lives. At the same time, I feel that the soft skill of communication has actually went downhill during that time. So I just think it's important that we work on it. And one of the things that I work with with people and organizations and individually is that when you communicate, the onus is on you to make sure that the other person understands you. It's not on the person that is listening. So when you communicate with someone, you have to know how to put whatever it is that you're communicating within their view of the world so that they can receive it. That's one example of the teachings that I use with communication. So yeah, we could spend the rest of the time on this one topic, but I'm sure that's not what you want to do.
Hey, I want to. I really do. It's that important. And, I've went through advanced training. It's neuro-linguistic programming. And part of that training was, if you, like you just said, if you're having a discussion with somebody one-on-one and they don't understand what you just told them, it's not their problem. It's yours. And that's just a mindset to then integrate and keep and go forward. It's called being at cause, taking responsibility. The question would be asked, when two people are talking, whose responsibility is it to, be clear in their communication? Is it the person talking or the person listening? Everyone will always say it's 50-50. Well, no, let's make that 100. If each person is at cause for what they're doing, then your results will go. And the thing is, you can't control what the other person's doing. So just make sure you personally are at least the one at 100% cause, and realize, well, okay, I need to message this differently. What is it that you're confused about exactly? Can I help in that area? Just keep digging, keep asking questions. You said a gold mine worth of stuff there, John. You talked about how you systemized it, the whole process. And that just brought to mind, it's something I train my team on when they come on board. And it's basically by Michael Gerber, the E-Myth Revisited, wrote this, and he said, and this is important for everyone listening and watching, is if you have no systems in your business, then you have no business. And at the time I read that, I didn't have systems, and that hit me right here, right between the eyes. I mean, like a ton of bricks. And I thought, wow, it is time. And really what it comes down to is and correct me if I'm wrong with this description of systemizing, but one thing that comes to my mind is documenting everything you do so it can be replicated, and delegating and having a team that can take that documentation, whatever form it be, like training, and execute it without your on-site toolage, your one-on-one toolage. What would you define systemizing as?
Well, a system is just really any process that one does, and you just turn it into a system for continuing to do that process and duplicate it over and over and over again. Like, think of Starbucks.
Yes.
Everything. I was watching them set up at Starbucks once for the Christmas holiday. And the gentleman had cue cards on how everything had to be set up within the store. I mean, that's a system. So any process that you, and communication is really just a process, any process that you engage in business, and it needs to, a process that's going to be done over and over and over again, needs to be turned into a system.
There you go.
So that other people can do it. And the system then needs to be simple enough to understand so that it can be easily taught from one person to another.
Much more eloquently stated and more concise, and to the point that I tried. Good. That was fantastic. Yeah. And that, I mean, concur 100%. And that's all it is. It's actually not difficult to do. And something, if you find yourself, and this is to everyone else that's watching and listening, if you find yourself doing a task that's somewhat repetitive, and let's say it's on the computer and everything you're doing is on the computer, it's opening software, it's updating the books, it's doing marketing, whatever it is, updating the website, is simply turn on a screen capture software like Camtasia. There's free ones online, browser-based ones, and then narrate into a microphone what you're doing as you're doing it. You're not taking any additional time to get the job done, and at the same time, you're creating your system by creating a video that can be used for training purposes by the next person. And that's how I started my whole system. And then later I had my team, as they refined and improved that process, to then them record how they did it. And now my system is creating my systems. It's amazing. It's such a godsend. And so it's huge. Go ahead. I see you have something burning, John. I want to hear it.
Well, that's a great tip, Brian. Thanks for, to all the listeners out there. That was pure gold. Turn on the screen capture and just narrate into it while you're doing it. Then anybody can follow. Yeah, that was awesome. That's what I was nodding my head. That's what I was burning about.
Latoya Jean from LinkedIn, thanks for coming on. She said, I jumped on at the right moment. You said something profound. No systems, no business. That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Keep commenting. I love this. When we get some on Facebook and YouTube, the comments come in, we'll display you on the screen and give you a shout out. So there's a little incentive there. And don't forget to stay on to the end for that wonderful prize, 5-night stay at a 5-star luxury resort. And yes, there will come a time when you can actually do that. And it won't be.
We're going to be doing that again. Yeah.
That's right. But yeah, systems. And then, screen recording. I wear that tool out. I have Camtasia, and it's paid for itself so many times over. If you have a support issue this is another example. I mean, if you have a support issue through software as a service, like a web-based service, anything that you use online, and you have an issue and you need to contact support. Well, I don't ever type in what's wrong or the issue anymore. I record a video and describe it, because it's hard to type in. It's like, when I clicked on the icon on the left, that little purple one with a little red dot in the middle, and then I went to the next page, and then it showed me, I was like, my God, it takes forever just to type it. I'm just going to record a quick snippet, give them the link to the video, and I'll tell you how many times they've said thank you for saving them the time of trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And it saved me time. And it's just, it's phenomenal. Anyway, I digress a little bit, but that's kind of a systems issue. It's fantastic. All right. We have Solidify. Yes, we can see you. We can see your text. How are you doing? Thanks for coming on. Love that avatar there on YouTube. Thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. Good job. I love that avatar. That's really cool. My gosh. And the gold is all yours, my friend. You're the gold provider here tonight. So many notes I'm going over right now. Yes, like I said, I'm taking notes. There's hand scribbles all over this. Okay, I started out with saying that in my experience, I found a pattern to success. And here's the thing. This is my belief that it doesn't have to be the same pattern for everyone. There are many patterns, or another word for it are recipes for success. And that's my opinion. What about you, John? Do you feel that there is some sort of pattern or formula or recipe for becoming a successful entrepreneur? And if you found one, is it something you can share, or is it a combination of things that you've learned?
Yeah, the pattern of success that works for me is vision, passion, and energy. So I get a vision for what it is that I want to create, and as soon as shortly thereafter, I get passion for it, and then I become very energized by whatever it is that I want to do. So that is the pattern that I've used as an entrepreneur. And we could actually, some of my clients and I, we call it catching a thread. We need to catch a thread, and we need to catch a thread that we have the vision of what it is that we want to create. We get very passionate about it, and then energized to take action, because you need energy to take that action, to follow through with that action, and weave through whatever it is that you have to go through to get to the finished product, whatever it is. So that's the pattern that I've used. And I use that not just for business, but for anything that I want to create or manifest in my life. Vision, passion, and energy.
And I love that. And how many people have you run into in your personal life or your personal experience, John, that really had the vision and the passion, but never seemed to actually go to that last step and put in the energy?
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing. And this is what I liken to a lot of seminars I've been to. I'm talking from personal experience. I've done it too, where I go to a network, a seminar, an entrepreneur-based workshop where you have 300 to 500 people. I buy a product because this is going to change my life. I bring it home. I open the box. I go, my God, this looks like a bunch of work. I put it on the shelf. I'm going to get to it tomorrow. Well, that self-help box became shelf help because I learned about it. I learned the concepts about from stage, and I didn't even open it up to digest the information, let alone then take action and implement what I'm learning. And that's one thing I notice a lot of people fall short on. It's like, it's a lot of work, ladies and gentlemen, to go through and learn any new skill set. And the key is having the certainty, knowing that, is it worth my time? And that's when you hook up with somebody like John and you see the results. They're tangible. They're right in front of you. This guy helps people. There are many people who will tell you that he's helped them. And so you have a level of certainty investing, knowing that if you invest your time and your money with John, the results are darn near guaranteed, because it's not his first rodeo, ladies and gentlemen. And so this goes for everything in your life. When you want to learn something, be sure to vet the person that you were learning it from. Ensure that they truly did everything they're teaching on, because unfortunately there are those out there that don't. They just say, I think you should. I never done it, but I think you should do it. I've had that conversation with one. So just vet the person. And then once you have that certainty, I like to say, grab onto that person virtually with your hands on both ankles and don't let go, and find out what, just analyze and model them and work with them, offer some help, be respectful, make connection with them. There's so many things we could go on for all night here, John. You are opening up so much great stuff in my head. I got to stop talking. I want you to talk more. So, okay. Entrepreneurship. This will be a multiple choice. Easy or difficult?
Oh, difficult.
Entrepreneurship. Overwhelming or joyous?
Yeah, joyous.
Yeah. Can it be overwhelming at times?
It can be overwhelmed. Overwhelm is a state of mind. So we're back to mindsets on that issue. So overwhelm is, very common, but easily avoided once one knows how to avoid it. So, yeah.
Sweet. Getting some odd comments on YouTube. I was just checking those out. And yeah, Absolutely. It's so I didn't want people to think it's a walk in the park just because you answered joyous.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is a state of mind, and it's really about how we react to the circumstances, our attitude. You know, it's not letting the circumstances control our attitude. It's the other way around. It's circumstances are going to occur no matter what we do. It's all about how we react to them. Go ahead.
I read a really great article the day before yesterday, written by a Navy SEAL, and he was talking about how people are, really stressed out at this time because of the pandemic, and he said what you have to do is focus on what you have control over. And the analogy that he used is you have a bullseye, an archer's bullseye, or an archer's target, excuse me, and the bullseye is all you have control over. Everything outside of the bullseye you have no control over. And it's the same way in avoiding overwhelm as an entrepreneur. And for those of you who aren't entrepreneurs, who are in business or whatever, for anything you want to create in your life, you need to focus on the bullseye and what it is that you have control over, and use your personal power to hit the bullseye to have impact there. And then everything else will kind of fall into place.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
Love it. And then Latoya Jean's chiming in on this very topic. She says, entrepreneurship can be overwhelming, but it all takes into consideration the fact that as an entrepreneur, we are risk takers. Yeah. So we do what is necessary to live life on our terms. That's powerful right there. Yeah, it's definitely, it is about living life on our own terms. That's one way to describe being an entrepreneur. And that doesn't mean our own terms are always glorious and, free of strife or setbacks. There's another book, Setback is a Setup for a Comeback by Willie Jolly. It's a phenomenal book. And it's about reframing and, mindset. You just said it, John. It's how we react to things. What we make of it is going to make it a reality. So why not make it something that's going to serve us rather than take us farther down that.
I like to say, Brian, that anything I think about, I can think about differently.
Oh, that's awesome. I don't think I've heard that one before. Is that your own phrase, or did you hear that?
That's my own.
Nice.
Anything I think about, I can think about differently.
I think it's time to trademark that right there. That's phenomenal. I love that. All right. So people that are out there watching, listening, maybe if they're anything like me, they're deeply curious. I'm always curious about successful people, more than just what made them successful. I kind of want to understand and get in their home, so to speak, to find out what is it like in like John's world. What does John do on what does a typical day in the life of John look like as an entrepreneur when you get up, and what you go through, the highlights of your day until you go to bed?
Well, a typical day for me is as I mentioned earlier, I love coffee. So I get up at 4:30. So I get up at 4:30, 5 at the latest in the morning, and I start the coffee, and I have a stretching routine that I do. I do my stretching routine, and then I go and I sit with my first cup of coffee and just look out the window. I don't get on my phone or open my computer or do anything. And I have anywhere from 5 minutes at the very least to 20 minutes, maybe on the outside, a half an hour, where I'm just completely quiet and I just fully enjoy my first cup of coffee, and I focus internally inside myself so that I can feel my essence, sort of, for lack of a better way of putting it. And then I begin my day. Usually I'm also a trader and investor. So at that point, I check the stock futures and see what's going on. And then I usually spend about 20 to 25 minutes writing. As I mentioned before the broadcast, I had a ski accident, so I haven't been able to exercise, but usually what I would do after my quiet time is go for a 20 to 30 minute brisk walk. And then I'm by 6 o'clock, 6:30 at the latest, I'm ready to start my day. Some of my clients, actually the calls will begin. I have one client that begins at 6 a.m., not every day, but once a week. And then I do my calls through sporadically on and off throughout the morning. and early afternoon. And then in the afternoon, I also will exercise. I'll probably take another walk, or I'll lift weights. I also do all my own food, so I'm eating at some point in there, and I like to eat for peak performance and also for foods that are good for my brain. And I spend a lot of time reading. And success is, you determine what success is in your life. So success for me is to get as much time as possible to spend with the people that I really care about and that I really would like to have an impact in their lives. So that's my clients and my fiance and my children and my grandchildren, actually. So that's a typical day for me. I go to bed very early. As I mentioned, I spend a lot of time reading. So I go to bed I'm probably in bed by 9 o'clock at night. So I try to get a really good night's sleep. I have a Fitbit. So I don't track my food on there. I don't get that crazy, but I do keep track of how much I walk, my sleeping, my heart rate, all of those things, all for peak performance. So,
and I love how you keep going back to peak performance. That is such a cool term.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
True.
And here's one thing I've noticed, another emerging pattern of very successful people, and that is many of them, not every single one of them, but I would say definitely the greater amount of them, well over 50%, have a routine. And they stick to it. Like John, he gets up and he stretches, he has coffee, he spends some time alone with himself and his own thoughts. And that's, some would call or could go into meditation or do other mindset work at that point. And, then he starts kind of getting into it, checking his stocks, and then doing some writing, and then getting on the horn with his clients. And my gosh, 6 a.m. starting the day. I hope they're on the East Coast or they're early risers like you. I'm like, wow. And then 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. goes to bed. So yeah, it's like, what is it worth to every individual out there? So John's routine may not be your routine, and that's okay. But let's say you don't have a routine. Why not model what John does and just go for it? See what happens.
Yeah.
And do it for a while. I mean, how long would you say would it take for someone to, establish that habit and make it part of their life so that they can actually see results? Is there any kind of time frame that could be put to that?
I think if you incorporate the eating, then it's just going to be a couple of weeks and you will feel so much better. As far as the stretching and the going to bed early and everything like that, I think a month could be, if you do it a month, 6 weeks, it would be a routine.
So there you go. 30 days to 6 weeks to your success. And everything he was saying with, he mixes in exercise and healthy eating, mind, body, business. It's all there, every bit of it. Yeah. This is the full picture. You're looking at him right here. He abides by all of the three, what I call principles or pillars for success in a great way, because it's a habit for him. And what better habit or habits to form than exercise? And I love how you break it up into two segments of exercise, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. That's important to get up out of that chair. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll tell you a secret, John. I worked out right before our show. I mean,
awesome.
I was racing to put on my dress shirt and get ready and jump on the camera with you because I like that, just the endorphins. It just gets me energized. And I want to be so present for you and for the people watching and listening. And that's, that drives me. I want the highest quality show possible. And it's that important to me. So that really, it woke my butt up. It always does. And it just puts you in this great state of mind, doesn't it? You just feel on top of the world.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah.
And that's a great productivity tip for everyone is, if you're not feeling, if you want to be more productive and you're not exercising on a regular basis, that's a simple solution right there, isn't it? Is just move. Doesn't mean go out and try to, like for guys, it doesn't mean to go lift 300 pounds bench press and then look like Arnold Schwarzenegger did back in his heyday. No, not at all. It means move on a regular basis, get the body, the blood pumping. Resistance training is very, very valuable. Even John says he lifts weights on occasion. So include that in your regimen. Use resistance bands if you don't have weights. They're very inexpensive and very effective. I did that for 7 years straight without lifting a weight, and I had great results. So it doesn't have to be difficult, and it can be very easy to do. You can do it in your own home with those bands, or get a small set of weights, whatever it takes. What is your priority in your life? Health is number one. And then once you have that health, the productivity and being on top of your game, operating at peak performance, as John says, is right behind it when you continue these practices and these habits that John's talking about. Model success. As I point to him on the side, oh my gosh, John, it's almost the end of the show. This is crazy. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I don't want to believe it.
Went by fast.
So there is one final question I like to ask every guest. You kind of touched on it already. I want to give you another opportunity to go deeper with it, if that's okay. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. And you like addressed it almost head on. And I just want to see what that answer becomes this time around, because just give it a little thought and maybe go a little deeper with it. You'll know when you hear the question. It will be very, very obvious. But real quick, I promised everyone who stayed on live to the end that they would get a chance to win. Did you forget? That 5-night stay at a 5-star resort. And that is in Mexico. And there are other choices that you can choose from, Mexico and other destinations. You'll know when you win. And how do you win? Glad you asked. Here it is. You now have John and my permission to take your gaze away from your laptop, computer, or tablet, if that's what you're watching on. Grab your cell phone, and maybe you're watching on that. Pull up your messaging app, and I will say this verbally in case you're on your phone so you can follow along. For who you're going to send the message to, you want to just type in a phone number, and that number is 661-535-1624. And then in the area where you type the message to say, hey, how's it going? You want to type in the word peak, P-E-A-K, and then tap that little icon to send it off. So again, the number to send this text to is 661-535-1624. And then in the message area, type the word peak, P-E-A-K, and send it off, and you will automatically be entered to win a 5-night vacation stay at a 5-star luxury resort in Mexico or a place of your choosing, and you will see all of the wonderful available options at that time. So go do that now, because
I did it while you're good.
You would be surprised. Maybe what many of us have done just that. I can see what you're doing, even though the rest
saw
can't. I know. I saw you did not, and I'm okay with it. I'm absolutely fine. They're randomly selected, and you would deserve it. You definitely deserve it, and much more. So, but it's a random drawing. And the other thing is, I want, before we go to this last question, is stick on after the question, because John has something to provide all of you. He's got a gift that I can't wait to share with you. So stay on. We're going to ask this one deep diving question that's going to really cause John to think hard. I'm kidding. So here's the thing, John. I like to say this to every guest. This is the question I ask every guest on the show. There is no such thing as a wrong answer. It doesn't exist. And it's just the opposite. The only correct answer is yours, because the answer I have found over almost 2 years of doing this show is actually a personal answer. It's amazed me. And so with that, feel free to take a moment to digest if you need it. And are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm intrigued.
All right. Here we go. John English, how do you define success?
I define success by the amount of time that I spend in a joyful state. So for me, success is about following what I'm passionate about and living my life doing the things that I love to do. That's how I define success.
And there's that uncomfortable pause. Just kidding. All right, that was fantastic. Yes, here's the thing I've noticed, and it's true till this day. No two people on this show, in the history of this show, have answered it in the same identical way. And you just kept that string going. That's how personal it is. It's amazing how. And the other thing I love about it is there is not a single person that their answer was money centric. You know, those that are just starting out are in more of a scarcity mode. And I was there. I'm sure you were there. You know, it's about making money, and it's about making money right now to pay the bills. And this whole abundance thing, that's got to come later because I need to pay the bills, right? And that's okay. The cool thing is I have nothing but successful entrepreneurs on this show who have already gotten past that. And this is where you really shine. Is so the faster you can get into the servant attitude of helping others, the faster you will see your success grow in exponential ways. It's unbelievable. So yes, there are times we need to get through those scarcity times, and most of us need to go through that. Absolutely. Yes. And so John, you had something to offer the wonderful people that are watching. Thank you, Latoya. She is remarking again. She says, I love John's answer. Personal happiness and joy within oneself. Success is all about our mental, physical, and emotional state of being. Yes, so agree. So agree. So, John, what I want to do is I'm going to pull up a nice, beautiful shot of your website while you describe to the wonderful people how they can get this wonderful gift that you're about to explain to them. So go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Brian. As a thank you, excuse me. As a thank you to all the listeners out there, what you can do is Brian's going to tell you where to send us an email, and we're going to gift you with our instant mindfulness method, which is access to a membership area where I will train you over video how to use a focus in your body that I actually learned from ancient wisdom keepers. And you will learn how to instantly stop your internal narrative. You'll gain control over the stress response and really be able to center and become present in any situation. It's called my instant mindfulness method. So you send an email there to Kaylee at johnenglishcoaching.com, and she will get you set up with a membership, and we'll take it from there.
Fantastic. So again, that's Kaylee, Kailee. This is for you listening on the podcast afterward at johnenglishcoaching.com. So that's where you want to send that email to. Maybe mention that you heard about this on the Mind Body Business Show. Then they will know instantly what you are referring to. Maybe put that in the subject line.
Very good point, Brian. Thank you. Mind Body Business Show.
Yeah, and say you would like access to the instant mindfulness method. The instant mindfulness method. I can be trained. I can say it. I really can. I promise. And so I'll drop that in the comments real quick as well, so you know just to put that in your email as a comment or a subject line. Just be sure to put that in there so that Kaylee and his staff know what to do with that email. Because boy, do I know how that can cause issues if you don't know what the purpose of that email was. Yeah. So fantastic. Thank you for that. That is an amazing, amazing gift. Appreciate that you are offering that to our guests and our listeners. That's phenomenal. Let's see. Let's get it back to the way we had it. Well, it's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. That's been an amazing show. John has provided amazing value. I don't have any room left on my paper. I have every blank spot filled of just notes after notes, and some of them are chicken scratches, difficult to read. I've got massive words called systemized and things that really rung true. Culture. I mean, John didn't leave many stones unturned. So if you're looking to grow your business, if you have a team, maybe if you're a solopreneur and you want to start building a team, and maybe you just want to learn from somebody who's got the experience that can help you get to that next level. He's owned 4 businesses in all disparate industries. If he doesn't know how to help you, I don't know many who would. And so reach out to John. John, what is the best way for folks to get in touch with you? Is it Facebook? Is it email?
Yeah, the best way for folks to get in touch with me is over email. So
Okay.
They can email the same email,
Okay.
And just request to get in touch with me. That's the easiest way. Kaylee at johnenglishcoaching.com.
There you go. Kaylee. So it's Kailee at johnenglishcoaching.com. I put it up on the screen one more time for those of you watching, either live or recorded. And for that one, put a different subject line and say, hey, I'm just reaching out. I want to connect with the man, the myth, the legend, John English himself. If you put that in there, they'll know what it came from. That's pretty cool, huh? So, John, I just wanted to say on behalf of everyone watching and listening, thank you. You've been amazing, as I expected you would be. I'm so blessed to be able to get to know you better and to share your brilliance with everyone who watched and listened and those who will listen in the future. Can't thank you enough. So appreciate you for being here, spending your time with us.
Thank you, Brian. It was my pleasure.
Fantastic. All right. Well, that's it. On behalf of the incredible, the amazing Mr. John English, this is Brian Kelly, the host of the Mind Body Business Show. We will see you again next time. Until then, be blessed, everyone. So long for now.
Thank you for watching and listening. This has been the Mind Body Business Show with Brian Kelly.